long time no low video, but we are back with Mr. Joseph Malanji, former foreign affairs minister who has been convicted on various counts, including being in possession of property that is reasonably suspected to be obtained from proceeds of crime, if I am not mistaken. Then there is also use of third-party companies to conceal ownership of assets, money laundering involving high-value real estate and aircraft, various things, right? So I thought, what can we learn from, what lesson can we draw from this? Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the importance of due diligence, okay, and pay attention. This is why I always say it is important to have legal counsel. It is important to have counsel. It is important to have counsel. So, not to say again that he did not have counsel. I mean, he was at court and he had counsel, right? But what can we learn which speak to sort of due diligence? I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm saying this is what we can learn from it, okay? So if you're going to get into a transaction, whether it's like a merger or an acquisition, you want to get into a partnership, or even if there's a question of regulations, right? Like you have licenses, compliance and things like that. It is important to conduct what is known as due diligence. Due diligence is simply an investigation that we conduct to see that the people who are transacting have authority to transact. For instance, if they're going to pass on property, do they have power to pass on that property in the first place? If there's a title, for instance, if it's land, is that title in that person's land? Or if it is not, do they have the requisite authority to do it, whether it's power of attorney or they're a receiver or they're, for instance, an administrator, as they are commonly called. So it's just about checking what the potential risks are, what is the liability, and most importantly, to inform the client what it is they need to be aware of before or if they should even proceed with a particular transaction. This is why due diligence is important. Why? Because if you miss this very important stage of a transaction or an investment or getting into a partnership or a merger or an acquisition, chances are it could come and bite you in the future, right? So using the example of Mr. Malanji, the reason why it is said that, it is reasonably suspected is because it is difficult for him to show that, the money was his or that it was properly acquired, okay? So these things are important. Due diligence is important before you enter these transactions. And I think this is a good example of how lawyers may be treated. I'm not saying this is what Mr. Malanji did, but this is what happens in a lot of transactions where lawyers are called to put out fires, things that could have been prevented, right? So you get into a transaction, you set up a company, then you decide you're going to own property through that company because you feel like, a company is a separate legal entity, which it is, and you can get away with it. Then years and years and years later, something comes up and now they have to go behind the company, and now your name is behind the company, and now you're being investigated. And due diligence helps prevent these things. It's how doctors say, reduce, cut out on salt, cut out on sugar. Do due diligence. And then now when someone is diabetic, we're constantly running to the hospital. Now that we have high blood pressure, we're constantly running to the hospital, trying to put out a fire. It's similar to these kinds of situations where if you don't nip it in the bud, if you don't sort it out in the beginning, it will probably come back to bite you. And sometimes it's difficult to explain because the way it is done looks shady. And even if that was not the intention, even if what you may have done was correct, but the way you went about it because you did not have legal counsel may come to bite you in really, really bad ways. Do not neglect due diligence. It's better to pay the price of a good lawyer upfront and prevent future problems. Always seek legal counsel.